The brass nameplate on my desk read Sophie Harrison, financial analyst, but it should have included family ATM in the job description. I'd been staring at the same spreadsheet for 20 minutes, not because the numbers were complex, but because my phone hadn't stopped buzzing with texts from my brother Marcus. Mom says you're being selfish again. That house is too big for one person. Family helps family, Sophie. Each message felt like another paper cut, small but deliberately placed. I set my phone face down and tried to focus on the merger documents that needed my approval by noon. The irony wasn't lost on me. I was evaluating a multi-million-dollar acquisition while my family treated me like I couldn't manage my own life. The house in question wasn't just property to me. It was the two-story colonial where Grandma Ellen taught me to read balance sheets at her kitchen table, where she'd whispered, "Never let them know everything, Sophie. A woman's greatest power is in what she keeps private." She'd left it to me specifically, bypassing my parents and Marcus entirely. The will had been clear, notarized, and according to my mother, grossly unfair. That was 3 years ago. The demand started small. Just let Marcus store some things in the garage. Just let him use the address for mail. Just let him host a party there. Each just came with guilt wrapped in familiar manipulation. You have so much space, and Marcus is struggling with his business ventures. His business ventures. That was generous. Marcus had burned through 6 failed startups in 4 years, each funded by loans he'd never repaid, investors he'd charmed and disappointed, and most recently, our parents' retirement savings. His latest scheme involved cryptocurrency, or as he explained it to our mother, the future of money that Sophie's too old-fashioned to understand. At 35, I was apparently both too young to deserve my inheritance and too old to understand innovation. The contradiction would have been funny if it hadn't been so exhausting. My assistant knocked softly. "Ms. Harrison? The board meeting has been moved to 2 p.m. "Thank you, Janet." I smiled, grateful for the reprieve. I needed to handle the situation with Marcus before it escalated further. He'd been showing up at the house unannounced, bringing potential investors to tour his property, telling anyone who'd listen about his plans to renovate once he sorted out the paperwork. The drive to Patriot Bank and Trust took 15 minutes. I'd chosen this branch deliberately, far enough from my usual office that I wouldn't run into colleagues, but professional enough to handle what needed to be done. The November air bit through my coat as I walked through the parking lot, rehearsing what I'd say. That's when I saw them. Marcus's BMW, the one he couldn't afford but leased anyway, parked crooked across 2 spaces. Our mother's silver sedan beside it. My stomach tightened. They'd coordinated this ambush. Through the glass doors, I could see them at the teller window. Marcus gestured wildly while our mother clutched her purse, her lips pursed in that way that meant she was disappointed but not surprised by someone's behavior. Usually mine. I took a deep breath and pushed through the doors. "And I'm telling you, check again." Marcus's voice carried across the marble floors. "Sophie Harrison. The property on Elmwood Drive. I need to be added to the deed." The teller looked uncomfortable. "Sir, without Ms. Harrison present and without proper documentation." "She's my sister." He slammed his palm on the counter. Several customers turned to stare. "This is ridiculous. Get me your manager." "Marcus." My voice was steady despite my racing heart. "What are you doing here?" He spun around, his face flushed with anger and something else, desperation maybe. Up close, I could see the wrinkles in his usually pristine shirt, the shadow of stubble he'd normally never allow. Whatever financial hole he'd dug this time, it was deep. "Sophie." Perfect timing. His salesman's smile snapped into place. "We're just sorting out this misunderstanding about the house." "There's no misunderstanding." I moved past him to the teller. "I'm sorry for the disturbance. How can I help you today?" "Don't be dramatic," our mother interjected, stepping forward. "Marcus just needs some help with his new venture. The house would be perfect collateral." "Collateral?" The word came out sharper than intended. "For what?" Marcus's jaw tightened. "For my future. But you wouldn't understand that, would you? Sitting in your corporate tower, hoarding family resources while the rest of us struggle. I work for what I have. You got lucky." His voice rose. "Grandma playing favorites, giving you everything while I got nothing. She gave you $50,000 for your education," I reminded him quietly. "You spent it on. Give me your house, you owe me." My brother screamed in the bank lobby. "You're just a lonely spinster with no family of your own." The bank fell silent. Every eye turned to us. The security guard stepped forward, hand moving to his radio. I felt heat rise in my cheeks, Not from embarrassment, but from years of suppressed anger finally finding its target. "You owe me," he continued, his voice cracking. "For every Christmas I had to hear about perfect Sophie and her perfect grades. For every time Dad compared us. For existing in your shadow while you—" "Mr. Harrison?" The bank manager had emerged from his office. Richard Jeffries, according to his nameplate, was a man in his 50s with kind eyes and an air of unshakable professionalism. He approached our group with measured steps. "Is there a problem here?" His gaze moved between us before settling on me with a flash of recognition. "No problem," Marcus snapped. "Just a family discussion about property that belongs to—" "Mr. Harrison," the manager interrupted gently. "You're speaking to the majority shareholder." The words hung in the air like a judge's gavel. My brother's face went white. Mom dropped her purse, coins scattering across the marble floor with a series of hollow clinks. "I what?" Marcus's voice barely came out as a whisper. Mr. Jeffries maintained his professional composure, but I caught the slightest upturn of his lips. "Ms. Harrison owns 52% of Patriot Bank and Trust. She has been our majority shareholder for the past 18 months. He turned to me with genuine warmth. "We weren't expecting you today, Ms. Harrison. How may we assist you?" The teller who'd been dealing with Marcus looked like she might faint. My mother stood frozen, her mouth opening and closing without sound. But it was Marcus's expression that I'd remember forever. The moment when all his assumptions, all his superiority, all his entitlement crumbled like a sandcastle at high tide. That's impossible," he managed. "Sophie works. She's just an analyst." "I am an analyst," I confirmed quietly. "I analyze investments. This bank was undervalued, mismanaged, and ripe for acquisition. Grandma taught me to recognize opportunities." "Grandma's money?" My mother finally found her voice, shrill with disbelief. "You used your inheritance to buy a bank?" "Part of it." I picked up her purse, gathering the scattered coins with deliberate calm. "The rest came from my own investments. Turns out being a lonely spinster gives you plenty of time to study market trends." But you never said." Marcus sank into a nearby chair, his legs apparently unable to support him. "No, I didn't." I handed my mother her purse. "Just like you never asked how I was doing, what I was building, or if I needed anything. Every conversation for 3 years has been about what I could give you, never about who I am beyond your personal savings account." Mr. Jeffries cleared his throat discreetly. "Ms. Harrison, would you prefer to continue this discussion in my office?" "No, thank you, Richard." I straightened my coat. "I actually came here to set up a trust. One that would prevent any attempts to fraudulently access or leverage my assets, including the house on Elmwood Drive." "You can't do this," Marcus stood abruptly, desperation replacing shock. "I need that house. I already promised investors." "You promised them my property?" "I told them about a family estate that would soon be available." "Sophie, please. I'm in trouble. Real trouble this time. These aren't the kind of people who accept apologies." "Then perhaps," I said slowly, "you should have thought of that before gambling with something that wasn't yours to lose." "Sophie," my mother grabbed my arm. "He's your brother. Family helps family." I looked at her hand on my coat, then at her face. The same face that had told me I was too serious, too cold, too focused on money to understand what really mattered. The same face that had never once asked about my dreams, my fears, or my successes unless they could benefit Marcus. "Family," I repeated. "Yes, family does help family. Which is why I've been paying off Marcus's debts for years. Credit cards, failed businesses, gambling losses. Oh yes, I know about those too. I've been protecting you both from the consequences of his choices since I turned 25. You have." My mother's grip loosened. $347,000 over the last decade. I kept every receipt. I gently removed her hand from my arm. I did it quietly because I didn't want to embarrass you. Because family helps family. But family also respects family. And neither of you has shown me an ounce of respect since Grandma died. The bank had gone back to its normal rhythm around us, but our small group remained frozen in our bubble of revelation. Marcus looked smaller somehow, diminished not by my words, but by the weight of his own choices finally catching up to him. "Sophie, he stopped, swallowed. "I didn't know. Because you never asked. You assumed I was lucky, that everything came easy to me. You never saw the 16-hour days, the extra certifications, the nights I spent learning everything Grandma tried to teach us both. You were too busy being angry that she saw something in me that you couldn't be bothered to develop in yourself. I turned to Mr. Jeffries. Please proceed with the trust documentation. I want it ironclad, no loopholes, no ambiguities. And I'll need a restraining order drafted if Mr. Harrison here continues to misrepresent ownership of my property to third parties. Of course, Ms. Harrison. Shall we say tomorrow morning? I'll have our best estate lawyers present. Perfect. I looked back at my family, or what was left of it. Marcus, I suggest you contact those investors immediately and clarify the situation. I won't be pressing charges for fraud this time. But if I hear of you using my name or my property in any of your schemes again, I'll handle it through legal channels. And Mother, you might want to check your own finances. If Marcus is this desperate, I doubt your retirement accounts are as secure as you think. Her face paled further, and I saw the moment she realized the truth. The family ATM was closed, and the one person who'd been protecting them from complete financial ruin was walking away. Sophie, wait. Marcus's voice was small, defeated. I'm sorry. I paused at the door. I know you are. You're sorry it didn't work. You're sorry you got caught. You're sorry the well ran dry. But are you sorry for treating me like a resource instead of a sister? Are you sorry for the years of dismissal, the jokes about my empty life, the assumptions that my success was luck rather than effort? His silence was answer enough. Goodbye, Marcus. Mom. I pushed through the glass doors into the crisp November air. My phone was already buzzing with their messages, but I didn't check them. Instead, I drove to Elmwood Drive, to the house that Grandma Ellen had left me along with something far more valuable than property. The wisdom to know when to reveal your hand and when to walk away from the table. That night, I sat in Grandma's kitchen, at the same table where she'd taught me about compound interest and calculated risks. The house was quiet, but it wasn't lonely. It was peaceful. For the first time in years, I didn't feel the weight of unspoken obligations or the drain of one-sided relationships. My phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. One of Marcus's investors, no doubt. I blocked it without reading and poured myself a glass of wine. The good stuff I'd been saving for a special occasion. Turns out, choosing yourself is about as special as occasions get. The next morning's news would carry a small item about a local businessman filing for bankruptcy, about investors left empty-handed, about promises that turned to smoke. But that night, in the house that held my best memories and my brightest future, I raised my glass to the ghost of Grandma Ellen and the lesson she'd taught me best. Never let them know everything, Sophie. And never, ever let them make you small.